Three.
Greetings, beloved. My name is Stephanie Renee Colon, and I'm a doctoral student in the Sustainability Education Program at Prescott College. Today, I'm going to share an accessible definition and examples of narrative inquiry. And do I have a story for you? Introduction. Narrative inquiry. Narrative inquiry is defined as the culmination of life experiences expressed in a story format in order to better understand individual and collective experiences. History of narrative inquiry. Narrative inquiry originated as a subgroup of qualitative research during the early 20th century. Qualitative research is the cornerstone of narrative inquiry that focuses on understanding the human experiences and behaviors through the collection and analysis of non-numerical data. Application of narrative inquiry. Researchers who developed and applied narrative inquiry within the fields of education, social work, psychology, and sociology. Research methods of narrative inquiry. Field notes, focus groups, photographs, videos, informal and formal conversations, interviews, and my favorite, autobiographical writings. Key concepts. Three-dimensional narrative inquiry space. The consideration of life experiences which emphasizes on the personal and social conditions of individuals that help shape their narratives. Second, collaboration and co-construction. Narrative inquiry reflects the collaboration between the researchers and the participants. It is an opportunity for them to develop a deeper connection and solidify their shared interests. This co-collaboration positively impacts the expression of the narrative. And lastly, flexibility and adaptability. The responsibility of the researcher is to remain flexible and adaptable in order to capture the complexity of human experiences when the participant is sharing and being completely transparent and vulnerable when telling their story. Conclusion. A narrative inquiry is a collaborative relationship between the researcher and participant. The participant gives a written or spoken text of their story. The researcher is the ultimate listener and scribe of their story. The narrative inquiry approach gives a deeper understanding of individual stories and a more expansive comprehension of identity, culture, and social dynamics for all to achieve multiple and diverse ways of knowing. Take a look at my references. Um, Feel free to stop the recording at every time and refer to it at your leisure. Now, the story that I've been waiting to tell you. And this is a conversation with a woke and broke Black woman, created by me, developed. It's a work in progress, but I'm sure you'll get a lot from it. My resolve will not be compromised as the This is a conversation with a woke and broke Black woman. My resolve will not be compromised as the war on woke intensifies. President Trump, oops, I meant to say Trump. I am not threatened by your battle cry to end DEI. You will not steal or squander my intellectual labor. I will complete my doctoral degree in sustainability education at Prescott College. You will not undermine the progress I have made for freedom and liberation of my people from racism, sexism, ableism, classism, xenophobia, homophobia, and transphobia. I will continue to be a grassroots community organizer and a gender and racial equity activist. I will survive this period of lacking full-time employment and overall socioeconomic insecurities. I have faith and hope that I will do more than survive. I will thrive during the weathering of the never-ending storm. Are you ready? Huh, let's go. My story is compelling. It is charged by a chronic form of internalized racial inferiority. It is plagued by an eerie cloud of intergenerational racial trauma that oozes like sweat from my skin. It is a story about the monotony of violence and injury becoming normal and redundant. It is a raw, unadulterated expression of how oppression creeps into the bone marrow of an identified girl child within me. It symmetrically embodies the existence of an emancipated Black woman that bathes in the flow of a chronicle about my truth. Part 1: Early response to a lived experience with racial aggressions. Intergenerational and racial trauma impacted my mother as she was regularly forced to navigate white supremacy when we were the only Black family to live in an all white working class neighborhood in the 1960s. My mother told me that when I was an infant, she had developed fear driven survival techniques against the onslaught of racist comments that she received from white people in the community. She had to endure the disdainful sneers of whites who called us monkeys as they cowardly and quickly shuffled across the street. My mother said she was frightened and scared for our lives. It reminded her about the pain, suffering, and racial trauma experienced by successive generations of Blacks who are descendants of enslaved Africans in Georgia, where she was born and raised. In my 30s, my mother expressed that she developed an insular protection against racial harassment, profiling, stereotyping, and discrimination. I inherit the same protective defense shield to fight off the ruminating, bogus thoughts that I was not enough. In my 20s, I soon realized that we lived in an anti Black, white supremacist world that purposely causes harm to the Black minds that matter. Part 2. School days, living in a world surrounded by anti Blackness. I was a depressed youth who frequently had thoughts of dying by suicide. I contemplated taking my life when, throughout the time, I attended junior high school. The key reason for my morbid state of mind, because it was painfully difficult to cope with existing in a predominantly white, upper middle class school and neighborhood in Riverdale. I was traumatized by the white students and teachers that regularly terrorized me because I was Black and poor. The following are real lived experiences with racial aggressions while in junior high school. I was frequently chased and bullied as I ran to catch the bus home to the chant of, "Nigga, go home!" The white individuals within the Parents Association protested against me playing the lead role in Hello Dolly. Their rationale: they had zero tolerance for race mixing in the theater and in real time. The math teacher and the entire class hysterically laughed at me after I correctly answered an arithmetic problem in an audible voice. What was the most embarrassing about this racist encounter was that the Cuban identified white girl exclaimed, "She doesn't speak English." Ironically, she was the one with the pronounced non English accent, and not me. This fact was irrelevant since I could never pass for white like her. I remember the white girl who exclaimed that I looked like a Neanderthal man. Just imagine, during art class. It felt like she yelled it out loud enough for the entire school to hear. I saw everyone in the class make a muffled chuckling sound. I was silent. I sighed and said nothing. I was never safe being a Black youth in elementary, junior high school, or high school. I was bamboozled as a vulnerable young Black woman in undergraduate school. I was enraged as hell about the lies I was told within a graduate school of social work. I honestly believed then that I was suffering from the ideological construct of the white supremacist concept of imposter syndrome. Today, I am a doctoral student at Prescott College who is confident and resilient despite the fact that the co-learning exposure to an environment that remains predominantly white. My fear of humiliation and rejection still haunts me. And that's why I wrote Dear White Supremacy.
Dear White Supremacy. I really had to dig deep to write this love letter to you. Without skipping a beat, I allowed you to make me a wounded weekend warrior. I endlessly wander through the labyrinth of my own Auschwitz, Nazi-style death camp. It was your idea for me to internalize that I'm not enough just the way I am. In your eyes, I derive from the lowest denominator of less than. I grew tired of your ineffective wartime tactics against people who look and sound like me. Your insidious nature caused me to do some searching from within. I contemplated on how to reconcile my polarizing love-hate feelings for you. I marveled at your impeccable ability to center the world on the perfectionism of whiteness. Simultaneously, you created a worldwide acceptance of anti-Blackness. It is a toxic paradigm that penetrates every inch of my body, heart, and soul. I surrendered to your lack of empathy for what you perceive as delusional, ranting. I succumbed to the insincerity of your fist bumps, high fives, and awkward hugs. I am bored by the repetitiveness of emptiness of your unethical rhetoric. We make love to the sanctimonious drone of speech filled with cacophony and gibberish. Blah, 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 blah. The noise leaves me with a razor-thin cuts that pierce every inch of my skin. Like a star-crossed lover, I periodically yearn for your touch. I lay in a spread eagle position, overwhelmed by the penetration of guilt and shame. I am hypnotized by the rapture of our incestuous intimacy. I loathe the fact that you have impregnated me without consent. I am enraged to give birth to a child in anticipation of it ending in a miscarriage. The energy that I exert to hate you takes away from the collective love needed for we, the people, to fight back. It is a moment in time when I feel the most vulnerable from your sharp talons. The sting is unbearable. The pain is excruciating. I am hemorrhaging in your birthright and sense of entitlement. I am drained by the monotony of this hateful life defined by you. You lack compassion towards me when I threatened to take my own life was daunting. You are incapable of breaking through the murky waters of a superimposed celluloid screenshot. Like an actor in a silent movie, I scream at the top of my lungs as my cries beg for you to stop goes unheard. I drown in the phlegm of your racial fragility. I'm not the culprit of the harm and trauma that has stunted the milestones of my growth. Your white centered world stole my ability to stand tall and upright. It is your white centeredness that sucks the life force from us all. It restricts our ability to lean in and speak out against racism wherever it rears its head. The BIPOC and LGBTQIA plus folks, white allies, and co-conspirators all gather to cancel intergenerational oppression and privilege. We take on the task of dismantling what the revolutionary bell hooks appropriately called an imperialist, white supremacist, capitalist patriarchy. There is an insurmountable amount of power among our ranks. We have the ability to push back against your dominant and fascist rule. We, the people, have the strength to push you into oblivion. Our power lies in our numbers. We are the majority and not the minority. Your reign will inevitably come to an end. You will see. It will be a nice Friendsgiving day to remember. It will be a day to rejoice because you, white supremacy, yes, you, will be no more. Hence, my cohorts, family, friends, and I will be free from you forever. Authentically me, Stephanie, like a storm the warrior. I am weathering the storm with ease.